It started with a broken jar and a bill Gabe never wanted to pay. When Lee called that night, Gabe already knew what it was about. It was always the same with Ben. Ben made big promises. Ben forgot his wallet. Gabe paid. They had been doing this since freshman year. Gabe had stopped asking why he still showed up. Maybe it was loyalty. Maybe it was habit. Maybe he just didn't trust Ben and Lee to survive a night out without supervision. "Yo, Gabe. Over here." The shout came from a dark alley beside a bar called the Rusty Cask Tavern. Gabe jumped, then spotted Lee waving him over. "Are you trying to kill me?" Gabe snapped as he walked up. Standing in the dark like that. Lee ignored the tone and hurried him inside. "You're saving us, man." Ben said dinner was on him, then suddenly his wallet was back at the dorm. "And I can't cover it. My girlfriend watches all my spending now." Gabe gave him a flat look. "So I'm not a guest. I'm an emergency credit card." Lee nodded. "Exactly." Inside, Ben was already grinning from a corner booth. "There he is," he shouted. At the same moment, a waitress came out of the kitchen with a full tray. Ben stood too fast and swung his arm wide. "Ben, watch out," the tray tipped. A plate hit the floor and shattered. The waitress stumbled backward into a side table. Something old and black fell from it and smashed on the ground beside her. For a second, the whole room went quiet. Then the waitress started apologizing over and over while she wiped gravy off Ben's jacket. Ben glanced at her, saw that she was young and pretty, and changed his whole attitude in an instant. "Hey, it's okay," he said with a smile. "No harm done." Lee rolled his eyes. Gabe did too. Ben looked down at the broken black jar on the floor. "See, shards bring luck." Gabe shook his head. "And sure, let's see if luck gets us back into the dorm after curfew." By the time they reached campus, the front gates were locked. The university was surrounded by an old stone wall, and Ben had decided they were climbing it. "This is a bad idea," Gabe said. "Only if we get caught," Ben answered. A few minutes later, Lee was braced against the wall with Gabe behind him, trying to boost Ben high enough to reach the top. "Higher," Ben hissed. "I'm trying," Lee groaned. "You weigh a ton." Gabe muttered, "I said this was stupid," and pushed upward. Then Ben slipped. He dropped straight down on top of them. All three of them crashed to the ground in a tangle of arms and legs. Something beneath them gave way with a dull, heavy crunch. The sound was wrong. Too soft for stone. Too brittle for wood. What the hell was that? Lee whispered. Ben didn't answer. He was sitting in the dirt, staring at nothing. Moonlight caught his face. He looked pale. His mouth hung open slightly, and then, very slowly, he smiled. "Shards bring luck," he said. His voice sounded thick and distant. "Everything in pieces." Gabe felt cold all over. "Ben." Ben lifted one hand and pointed at the ground beside them. There, half buried in the dirt, lay the broken remains of a black ceramic urn. Next to it stood a small, weathered headstone. 1887. Gabe looked down at his shoes. The mud on them was mixed with fine gray ash. "Get up," Gabe said. "Now." Lee slapped Ben across the face. The sound cracked through the night. Ben blinked hard and grabbed his cheek. "Oh. What was that for?" Lee stared at him. "You were acting insane." Ben looked from one of them to the other. "What are you talking about?" Gabe said, "You fell." "We all fell. We crushed that thing." Ben frowned. "No, we didn't. We just got here." For a long moment, none of them said anything. Then Gabe grabbed both of them by the sleeves. "We're leaving." They made it back to the dorm somehow, muddy and shaken. Lee went to bed almost at once. Ben laughed the whole thing off and said they were all tired and freaking themselves out. But Gabe couldn't sleep. He lay in the dark staring at the ceiling, trying to slow his breathing. At some point, he heard something moving across the floor. A slow scrape. Then another. He looked toward the foot of his bed. Someone was crouched there in the dark, searching through a pile of clothes and books. Gabe opened his mouth, but his voice felt trapped somewhere deep in his chest. "What are you looking for?" The figure turned. Its face was gone. What looked back at him was a skull draped in wet black hair. Dirt filled the gaps between its ribs. Worms twisted in its chest. In one hand it held a long white arm bone. "This," it said. Then it smiled, or something close enough to a smile to make Gabe's blood turn to ice. "It's all your fault," it whispered. "Now you help me find the rest." Gabe jerked upright in bed with a cry caught in his throat. Across the room, Ben shot up at the exact same time. The two of them stared at each other in the dark. Ben's voice came out thin and shaky. "There was something in here." Gabe didn't move. Ben swallowed hard. "It was looking for something." Gabe finished the sentence for him. "The rest of its bones." Ben went completely still. For a moment, Gabe thought Ben might finally admit what had happened. Instead, Ben let out a weak laugh. "Okay. Not funny. You had the same dream." "No," Ben said too fast. "I didn't." He was already out of bed. "Come on," he said. "We need to go back." Gabe frowned. "Back where?" "The wall." Ben was standing right beside his bed now. Gabe had not heard him cross the room. "It's morning," Ben said. "Why are you looking at me like that?" The walk back to the north wall was quiet. Ben moved strangely. Not enough to call it a limp. Not enough to explain. He just looked stiff, like something in his body wasn't bending the way it should. Lee had left before dawn to find help. His call came just as Gabe and Ben reached the old field near the wall. "I found somebody," Lee said the moment Gabe answered. He sounded out of breath. "An old guy near the church. He knew exactly what I was talking about." Gabe tightened his grip on the phone. "What did he say?" Lee answered. "He said the urn has to be put back together. Every piece. Salt around the grave. An apology. Then rebury it." Gabe turned slowly toward the wall. "And if we don't?" Lee was quiet for one beat too long. He said it has to be done before sunset. A cold knot formed in Gabe's stomach. "We're almost there," he said. "Just get back here." Then he looked up and froze. Ben was no longer beside him. He was on top of the wall, 7 feet up, standing on the narrow stone edge and swaying slightly. "Ben!" Gabe shouted. "How did you get up there?" Ben turned toward him. His face was full of panic. "Gabe," he said, voice breaking. "Help me." "I don't know." His right shoulder jerked downward. Not like he lost his balance. Like something had grabbed him. Ben vanished over the far side of the wall. Gabe ran. By the time he reached the other side, Ben was lying twisted in the grass. His arms were wrong. His legs were wrong. Every joint looked bent past its limit. Gabe dropped to his knees beside him. "Ben." Ben didn't answer. At the hospital, the doctors rushed Ben into surgery. Gabe waited in the hallway, covered in dirt and dried sweat, staring at the floor. A doctor came out first. Then the dean of students. "How is he?" Gabe asked. The doctor looked shaken. This was not a normal fall. Gabe said nothing. The doctor continued. "His joints are destroyed. Shoulders, elbows, knees. It's as if every moving part in his body was smashed." The dean stepped in then, uneasy and pale. "You boys were at the north wall," he said. Gabe looked up. The dean rubbed one hand over his mouth. "That used to be the old parish cemetery. Most of it was moved decades ago. At least we thought it was." Gabe leaned back against the wall. He felt sick. He should have stopped them from climbing. He should have made Ben leave the urn alone. He should have done something. Instead, Ben was in surgery, Lee was missing, and sunset was getting closer. "Shards bring luck," Gabe whispered bitterly. The words tasted dead. Ben never woke up. By the time the sun started dropping, Gabe was still at the hospital. Then his phone rang. Lee. Gabe answered at once. Lee. Where are you? Did you get the urn fixed? No answer. Just a sound. Crack. Gabe stood up. Lee. Crack. It sounded like dry wood snapping. Then something heavier broke apart. A voice came through the phone. Not Lee's voice. A rough, dragging whisper. Broken, Gabe couldn't breathe. I'm all in pieces. The hallway lights flickered. Then they went out. The hospital dropped into darkness. At the far end of the hall, a shape stood under the weak red glow of the exit sign. Lee. Gabe called. The figure turned. It had Lee's body, but the neck bent at the wrong angle. The face looked gray and loose, like skin hanging on a frame that no longer fit right. When it stepped forward, ash fell from its clothes. Broken, it rasped again. I'm all broken. Gabe backed up until he hit the wall. Lee's body shuddered once. Then it collapsed. Not like a man falling, like something already hollow giving way. His skin folded in on itself. Bone flashed through it. Then the bones cracked apart too, breaking into jagged white shards that scattered across the tile. The phone slipped from Gabe's hand. He stood alone in the dark hallway, staring at what was left of his friend. For the first time in years, there was no one left for him to take care of. No one left to drag home. No one left to pay for. No one left to protect. Then he heard a small sound inside his own body. A faint click. It came from deep in his elbow, like something inside the joint had just started to turn.